Halloween, the spookiest, creepiest, scariest time of the year. Darkness falls across the land, the midnight hour is close at hand. Creatures roam in search of blood to terrorize your neighborhood, and whoever shall be found without the soul for getting down must stand and face the hounds of hell and rot inside a horn. Sorry, that's Thriller. Okay, I'll be honest here, Halloween is not really my type of holiday. I'm not the biggest horror fan, and the spooky wooky stuff doesn't really do much for me. There are a couple of things I do like about it, like getting to eat all the leftover candy that conveniently wasn't given out to trick-or-treaters, and seeing lots of happy kids and adults dress up in fun, hilarious costumes. Mostly superheroes, but sometimes creatures and beings that are more commonly associated with the season. Amongst these ghoulish denizens is that of the humble witch, those wicked, mysterious practitioners of magic often recognized by their gothic attire, grotesque appearance, and other affections like a witch's cauldron and a black cat familiar. However, during the 80s and 90s, film and TV execs made an effort to try to glam up these dark beings of old with a more hip, modern, trendy kind of image. Of course, you had shows like Charmed, which tried to do for witches what Buffy did for vampires, as well as witches, and films like The Craft, which greatly appealed to the burgeoning gothic crowd. But for myself and many others growing up in the 90s, the premiere show for witches was a little-known fantasy sitcom centered around a teenage girl named Sabrina. Based on the Archie Comics character of the same name, the show follows the life of its title character, Sabrina Spellman, played by Melissa Joan Hart, as she deals with the usual trivialities of a regular teenage girl, including schoolwork, boyfriends, and bitchy cheerleaders, whilst also dealing with the wonderful and confusing madness that comes with being a witch, guided by her two aunts Hilda and Zelda, and her talking cat Salem, who is hands down the best character in the series.
Did you hear the good news?
What?
Thank God it's Frigga.
The show lasted for 7 seasons and 2 made-for-TV movies, and while other iterations tried to recapture the magic as it were, this show is still fondly remembered by many of us who have teenagers of our own to deal with now. While I said it had 2 made-for-TV movies, technically there is a third, or rather first, which is also simply called Sabrina the Teenage Witch. It acts as a sort of unofficial pilot to the main series, and even features similar attributes and characters that will make it into the main show, including its lead actress. But this one is played more like a romantic comedy than a young teen sitcom with canned laughter. It originally aired in 1996, a few months before the series, on the Showtime channel, the same network that would later air other family-friendly shows like Dexter. No, the other one. Though it is fun to imagine that one as a darker reboot. And with the chilling adventures of Sabrina, it makes you wonder what other kids' shows could suddenly get a mature retelling. How about The Busy World of Richard Really Scary? Anyways, I thought it would be fun to talk about this movie, so conjure up some snacks and comfy seating, and let's see how a beloved sitcom got its start. The film opens like most 90s teen comedies tend to do, with whimsically jaunty music, inoffensively crude opening title credits, and an oddly slow pan across the room of our protagonist. Was this just a thing that the 90s thought was cool? Why do we need to know such intimate details about our hero's sleeping quarters? Unless the whole movie is taking place here, I think you can pick up the pace a little bit. Eventually, we do get to our main star, whose latent magical abilities are causing her to float. Either that or she's currently being possessed by Zool. Thankfully, she is saved from hurting herself by her aunts Hilda and Zelda, played by Sherry Miller and Charlene Vaness respectively. Wow, Sabrina must be a pretty heavy sleeper if all of that doesn't wake her up. So the basic premise here is that Sabrina is on the verge of discovering that she is a witch and thus has magical powers. Shortly before her 16th birthday, she's sent by her parents to live with her aunts in Riverdale to help guide her through this transition. Until then, her life is pretty normal as she attends school with her friends Marnie, played by Michelle Beaudoin, and Harvey, played by Tobias Meller. She also has to deal with a typical mean popular girl Katie, played by Lalenia Lindberg, who is dating popular boy Seth, played by God's perfect Canadian Ryan Reynolds. Yep, you heard me, Ryan Reynolds. This was long before he rose to fame with such seminal classics like Van Wilder, Blade Trinity, The Proposal, Deadpool, Deadpool 2, Deadpool 3, Deadpool for Kids, Deadpool from Dummies, and Turbo. But here he's just playing an average teenage heartthrob in a loving relationship with his not at all scheming girlfriend.
I'm dumping Seth.
What? I thought you two were madly in love. A stagnant relationship is doomed to failure. I just want to keep him on his toes.
So apparently Katie is under the impression that the best way to keep Seth interested in her is to dump him and crush his heart.
I just want to keep him on his toes.
Where's Katie? You didn't hear? No, we broke up. I'm a free man.
Good work, Katie, all according to plan. Sabrina returns home to a surprise party organized by Harvey, who clearly has a huge crush on her. This is where Seth wades in and starts hitting on the birthday girl. However, a jealous Katie gets word of this and crashes the party herself.
Sabrina, this is Katie. Katie, this is Sabrina.
Charmed. Likewise.
You gotta love how 90s bullies can hate someone just for the mere act of existing. How dare she have a birthday? I never gave her permission to have one of those. Unfortunately for Katie, a bit of wayward magic from Sabrina results in her party hat catching on fire.
Look, somebody what?
Excuse me.
Nice aim, Harvey. You got like 10% of that punch in her.
Are you coming?
Well, no, I thought I was a free man.
Suit yourself.
Yeah, how's that master plan working out for you, Katie? Not about as well as Harvey's romantic gestures.
Thanks for those flowers in my locker the other day.
Figured it out, huh?
Yeah, I figured it out. You're a real pal, Harvey. Anyone ever tell you that?
Friend-zoned. As the days go on, Sabrina starts to notice some unusual things happening in her life. Oh, that's weird. Maybe she's a witch.
There's this.
Message for you, son.
Sabrina makes the school track team and as such is invited to a special party at Katie's house, where I'm sure nothing sinister is being planned. After a typical shopping montage, Sabrina and Marnie arrive at the party, closely followed by Harvey who sneaks his way in. This is when Katie enacts another one of her ingenious plans.
This wax should help her take off.
Good God, Katie, are you trying to humiliate her or put her in the hospital?
You're jealous.
I'm not jealous. I'm just gonna make sure there's nothing to be jealous about.
So you're jealous. Unfortunately, her plan is about as half-baked as the last one, as all Sabrina has is a minor slip, but she recovers and then dives off the board like an Olympic champion. Jeez, Katie, even Wile E. Coyote's looking at you like... She does have a backup plan as she hooks up a microphone to the changing rooms and blasts out Sabrina's secret thoughts about Seth. This humiliates her enough that she runs home. While Sabrina's crying in her room, she notices her closet door open with a glowing light coming out of it. Stepping through, she finds herself in a witch's coven, I believe, as her aunts are there to welcome her into the sisterhood.
You're a witch. A witch?
Okay, Zelda, what exactly are you on, and can I have some?
Your javelin, dear.
You're nuts, my lord.
Sabrina wakes up the following morning thinking it was all a dream, but is snapped back into a new reality after a demonstration by Hilda, much to the chagrin of Salem.
Though you're handsome as a cat, no, not pig, turn into rat.
Very funny. You've had your joke.
Sabrina is given a magic book to help her understand how to control her powers, but after yesterday's events, she's not too keen on going back to school. However, Hilda is able to fix this by making it seem like Sabrina was hardly at the party at all.
You looked so sick.
Sick?
Yeah, and it's a shame too, 'cause you missed all those guys in those little bathing suits in the diving competition.
I didn't even dive? No one heard me talking?
Okay, this isn't exactly clear, but did she erase everyone's memories of what happened, or did she literally bend the laws of time and space to alter history? Either way, it brings up some seriously terrifying implications, ones the aunts don't exactly shy away from.
You know that whole Susan Lucci thing?
The actress?
She's lost 15 years in a row. Hilda hates that show.
With her new powers now active, Sabrina naturally uses them to her benefit, like helping Marnie to get the right answers on her test, and to get revenge on Katie. However, her attempts to get Seth to fall in love with her are sadly unsuccessful, as her aunts explained to her.
In the old days, some witches, some bad witches, did cast spells for love, and it always ended in heartache. So the Great Witches' Council convened, and it was decided to abdicate that power.
Love is too precious for anyone to tamper with.
Oh, but bending time to your will is perfectly fine? Didn't see any witches jumping at the chance to get rid of that, huh? Speaking of jumping, her next lesson in Witching 101 is learning how to fly. Except there's no brooms or vacuum cleaners or anything like that involved, this is just straight up flying. Sadly, her aunts are not exactly what you describe as helpful.
Okay,
First, you take a deep breath and jump.
Then when you're on your way back down to the ground, you simply miss.
Miss what?
You miss the ground.
Oh, come on. Miss the ground? Can't you give her better advice than that? Like channeling her magic or thinking happy thoughts? Actually, that last one is technically accurate, as she's told to be true to herself and then nothing will keep her down. Hey, here's an idea. You're her teachers, so teach her! I don't see you trying to jump off any buildings trying to miss the ground.
She needs to try this on her own.
I think you're right.
Oh yeah, fantastic idea. Wander off so she can do this on her own. Yeah, great teaching and parenting! Sabrina does actually find a loophole in her quest to win Seth's heart, as she plans on using magic to win the track competition, hoping that will convince Seth to ask her to the spring fling. To that end, she conjures up a pair of magic sneakers to help her beat Katie in a race. Harvey, what are you doing? Was there something in the script about him braying like a horse? Hilda and Zelda learn about Sabrina's extracurricular spellcasting, and their first reaction is to blame the cat.
Why didn't you tell her?
Isn't it obvious he wants her all to himself?
What are you talking about?
Shame on you, Salem.
Double shame.
Oh my god, even the genie got his 3 rules out to Aladdin before he granted any wishes. How difficult is it to sit Sabrina down and tell her the do's and don'ts of being a witch? So the big hoopla about Sabrina using her magic to win over Seth is that he may not truly love her for this, and thus his kiss might turn her into a cat.
Well, I know Seth would love me that way. You know, with a pure heart.
Really, Sabrina? You've shared like maybe 2 scenes with him and spoken to him in like 1 of them. You've had more intimate moments with Marnie. Based on that logic, she would be your true love, which would really make this movie into something else. To her credit, she does try to win the old-fashioned way without the use of magic, and she does pretty well to stay on par with Katie. But after a wayward shove by her rival in love, Sabrina says screw it and puts back on her magic kicks to win the final race. Almost immediately, Seth asks her to the dance, which really ruffles Harvey's feathers. But try as he might, he just can't confess his feelings to Sabrina.
It's just that I've been thinking a lot about you and me. There's something I want to tell you.
What?
Nothing. Have a nice time with Seth.
So friend-zoned. It's now time for the spring fling, and this year's theme is white. Why do I get the feeling that Katie's next plan for Sabrina has a very Carrie feel to it? Katie actually breaks into Sabrina's locker and discovers her spellbook. She plans on telling everybody about her secret, which, regardless of whether or not it's true, would surely affect her reputation. But once again, her plans are foiled as Sabrina turns her into a poodle. You know, at this point, I would actually start feeling sorry for her, but she does bring this upon herself. Later, Seth takes Sabrina to Lookout Point for a bit of alone time. But Seth has been a bit of a jerk to Sabrina all night, and she is beginning to notice that he may not be the one for her.
Come on. Just one kiss.
No.
Just come on.
Ironically, this is the kind of douchebag that Deadpool would love to mess around with. That came out wrong. Or did it? Harvey arrives to give her a lift back to the dance, but Sabrina gives him a lift back instead as she finally learns how to fly. Hey, watch out for any Supermen flying up there. Actually, for as cheesy as these effects are, they do look significantly better than Superman 4. They arrive back at the dance, and as the film comes to a close, everyone seems happy. Sabrina has Harvey, Marnie has some other guy, even Katie, after being turned back to normal, does get back together with Seth.
Can you ever forgive me? I only dumped you because I wanted to improve the quality of our love.
Well, I suppose every dog does have their day. To sum up my thoughts on the 1996 Sabrina the Teenage Witch movie, it's honestly kind of dull. Now, I admit I may be thinking this way because I'm comparing it with the series, but I also feel like it hasn't really fleshed out what it is trying to do. Whilst the show was a great blending of slice-of-life comedy and supernatural hijinks, the film feels like a standard teenage romance movie that sprinkles in elements of something otherworldly, but doesn't go far enough with it. They try to introduce these ideas of mysticism and a whole other realm of possibilities, but never put in much effort to flesh it all out. All that is ever spoken about it is what rules pertain to Sabrina and her attempts to woo Seth. I mean, I know this is a romantic comedy, but if you're going to bring in these kinds of elements, you've got to commit to it, or at least don't make it seem to be bigger than it is. Aside from that, the plot is a little thin, even with the magical shenanigans, but acting-wise everyone does their job well. Sabrina is more of a toned-down version of her TV show counterpart, but even without the more over-the-top, kookier, comical side to her, she still has the same lovable, sweet-hearted teenage charm that made her and Melissa Joan Hart household names. Her aunt, on the other hand, really bugged me. It mainly stems from the fact that they introduce her to this incredible world of wonder and witchcraft, and then do nothing to help guide her through it, even though that is literally what they are supposed to do. Instead, they spend their time vaguely giving her hints on how to perform magic or instructing her to read her book, and when things don't go right, they blame the cat. You're her guardians, you take responsibility. Maybe if the characters were more defined as rebellious witches themselves that suddenly had a young charge they needed to train, I could perhaps excuse them for being bad at their job. But instead they come across as rather smug and self-congratulatory. Look at this scene of them watching Harvey and Sabrina dancing, acting like they made it happen. You didn't do jack! Oh, I didn't mention much about Salem in this movie because he really doesn't do anything noteworthy. He just spies on Sabrina and takes the blame for things he has no control over. There was some interaction between him and Katie's dog during the pool scene, but hardly worth talking about. I'm sorry to keep bringing up the comparisons, but it's amazing how the most forgettable character in the movie was turned into the standout star in a TV show. Not bad for some somewhat outdated animatronics.
Show me the tuna. You got to show me the tuna. Say I love the black cat.
I love the black cat.
I can't hear you.
I love the black cat.
I love.
Everyone else is just okay. Harvey comes across as an adorable loser with a heart of gold. Marnie is an excitable yet supportive best friend. Katie can be entertaining as a somewhat cartoonish villain. And Seth is kind of a standard jerk pretty boy. He has his moments with Katie during their breakup, but for Sabrina's main drive throughout the film, he really is the least interesting human character. Again, shocking considering what this actor would become known for much later on.
Okay.
Ultimately though, I feel like this is a very harmless film. There's nothing really offensively bad about it, it doesn't really have much to make it stand out. I do feel bad about comparing this film to the TV show a lot, which was able to do a lot more with the premise. So maybe it's best to look at this as a proof of concept of how to make an idea like this work. All that needs to be done was make a few adjustments here and there, and perhaps consider a change of genre. I certainly recommend it to anyone who is a fan of the show, or even a die-hard Ryan Reynolds fan. But for everyone else, I guess we had to wait a little bit longer for the magic to truly start working.
It's me in a nutshell.
Hi everybody, Technoboy here. Thank you so much for watching this video on the Sabrina the Teenage Witch made-for-TV movie. I do wonder how many of you actually knew this movie existed. I've certainly known about it for a while, but I've never really thought about doing a video on it until just recently, and well, it's about Halloween time, so I thought this would be perfect. Again, like I said in the video, I'm not a huge Halloween fan, but this just seemed to fit the bill quite well, to be honest. I've also been using a new editing software and I got a new computer recently, so I apologize if the audio quality and the video quality is not particularly good. I mean, I should apologize for my videos in general, but for this one, yeah, I'm still getting used to everything, so hopefully after I have played around with a few things and looked up a few tutorials, the quality should go up on some of my later videos. At least that's what I'm hoping. But I like to end these now with asking a question, and I suppose I have two in this case. One, if you're a fan of Halloween, what's your favorite thing about this particular time of year? And two, if you're not a particular fan of Halloween but are a fan of Sabrina, what's one of your favorite moments about it? I always enjoyed the antics of Salem. I think Sabrina, Hilda, and Zelda are very funny characters. I just enjoy a great deal of it. I can't think of anything in particular except for maybe the clips I've shown you in the video. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, all that usual stuff. And I'll see you next time.